Doll
This is Helmets and Heels.
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Well, ladies, we are fresh off of the Jaguars pre-draft media availability, and I feel like we learned a lot. No, we did not learn who the Jaguars are taking at number 5, nor did we ever really expect to. But I do feel like we got certainly layers of understanding of the thought processes behind how this regime is going to do things. And that leads me to, I think, a difficult exercise. What are the 6 positions the Jaguars will be taking with the 6 picks they have in the first 4 rounds? I don't think that's that easy to boil it down to 6, just 6.
Yeah, I think that it's hard anyways when you're doing the draft because it also so much comes down to who's available at your pick. And I know we've had this conversation now for the last couple weeks as John Oehser was talking about it. And then when we heard from Liam Cohen last week, he kind of reiterated it, that it seems like they are more so because there are so many holes and because I feel like they want to win as soon as possible. And I think some people were more so like, okay, there's a lot of holes, so this is going to be a couple years. Maybe this year is going to be more strategic. And I don't know if that's going to be the process because the way that Liam Cohen said, not this presser yesterday, but the one before that, and he made the comments of, you know, you're building something for long term, but we also want to win as soon as possible. And to me, that did show that maybe they are higher on some things than maybe some of us are. They think that if they go best player available, then those players can make instant impact and make this team better right away, and they can compete right away. We talk about the division, and that's part of it. But I do think that we have to see the combination of these guys drafting together before we really know what to totally expect. But also the board, you never know how the board's going to fall, and that really starts to shake things up.
Well, that's to Taylor's point. I have no idea what the board's going to look like, but I feel like I have a pretty good estimation at this point in time who the 6 picks will be. Like, not specifically, but position-wise.
The positions.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear them.
2 defensive linemen. Edge, defensive tackle, pick your poison. There will be at least 2 defensive linemen picked in those 6 picks. So there's 2 of the 6. A wide receiver will be picked. I reported it here on the air. I said it on Duval Rundown. Y'all said I was crazy. You tell me if I'm crazy after listening to Liam Cohen yesterday. They're going wide receiver at 36. If one of their guys are there, they are going wide receiver. So that's 2 defensive linemen, 1 wide receiver.
Maybe even trading up for a wide receiver.
Potentially, yes, potentially, depending on when the run is. And I said that on Duval Rundown this morning. That, for me, is the most fascinating storyline. If you are a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, after the pick is made at 5, the storyline you need to be monitoring is whether or not the run on wide receivers starts before pick 19 or if it doesn't start until the mid to late 20s, because that will directly affect how your team attacks the rest of the draft with such a glaring need, even if it's the most unspoken need on the roster right now.
All right, before you get to your next 3, Taylor, are you in agreement? Defensive tackle, edge, wide receiver at the first, not necessarily in these
that order.
orders.
Yes. I am.
Yeah, I have those 3 as well.
Yeah, those 3 are undoubted for me. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting in that this is where, again, where the board falls. I think they're taking a running back in the first 6 picks.
I have running back in my first 6 as well.
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I think a running back is taken. I think it depends how quickly, because there's so many running backs in this draft. I don't know how early they start to address that. But yeah, we're talking about 6 picks, so that is a large majority of them. But I've just heard so many people talk about in the 3rd and 4th round still being able to get some of these running backs. So to me, I feel like once where you talk about the run for wide receivers, to me it's similar for the running backs. How quickly are these guys really starting to drop off? And like when it comes to that first, second tier, and then once those others start going, do they jump on it and when that comes? And the only reason I say that is because I do think they're going to address running back, and I want them to address running back. Yeah. I just, to me, there's areas on this roster that I feel like is going to be kind of battle. It's going to battle how important that running back position is this year.
So for you, Taylor, you would be okay getting a running back is what it sounds like in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round, not necessarily the first 4 rounds.
Yes.
And there's a stat floating around the internet. I don't know if it was Nate Tice or who posted it that here, actually, I think.
I say that and then I'd be fine with Genty at 5. So just to let everybody know.
I get it. But yeah, we're prioritizing the first 4 rounds and they have 6 picks, like Mia said in Crosstalk. They have 6 picks in those first 4 rounds, thanks to extra picks from the Minnesota Vikings trade. And so thank you, Vikings. We'll take those.
This is from Ian Hartitz of Matt Berry's Fantasy Life. 7 rookie running backs drafted in rounds 4 through 7 or an undrafted free agent have posted top 24 fantasy numbers in the last 10 years. 7 total, round 4 or beyond. Bucky Irving, Damian Pierce back in 2022, Elijah Mitchell in 2021. Really haven't heard from those two guys since those one-year wonder seasons.
Yeah, Damian Pierce is a strange case. But keep going.
Speaking of one-year wonders, pains me. James Robinson, Phillip Lindsay, Jordan Howard, Carlos Williams. What you see with all those guys outside of Bucky Irving, who was a 4th-round pick, so is Damian Pierce.
In this exercise, Bucky Irving would be in our 6.
He's the outlier. He would be in the 6, but he's the outlier, right? Because Damian Pierce was a 4th-round pick. None of those other guys. Was Jordan Howard a 4th-round pick for y'all?
I honestly cannot remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But certainly James Robinson was an undrafted free agent. Phillip Lindsay was an undrafted free agent. Elijah Mitchell was a late 6th, 7th round pick of the San Francisco 49ers. And so
James Robinson would have been good much longer if it wasn't for his knees.
Correct. And so that's where, again, I don't know if you can bank on, well, look at what Kyle Shanahan has done and we will do the same thing. Because ultimately, this crew came from L.A., which, well, yes, part of the Shanahan-McVay tree, but Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams spent a nice, premium pick, if you may, on Kyren Williams, which I believe he was a 4th-round pick, correct me if I'm wrong, or was he a 3rd round? Let's double-check that one. I do want to quote that before I say it. Kyren Williams was a...
Jordan Howard was 5th round.
5th. Kyren Williams was 5th round as well. Okay, so that's interesting, though, that he's... And again, fantasy doesn't dictate production.
No.
Yeah.
But that's very interesting that he has not been a top 24 fantasy running back, despite being a lead bell cow who's in line for a second contract. And so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is some value to, hey, you know what? Running backs, you're going to run them into the ground anyways. Take them in the later rounds. Don't spend premium capital.
And we're splitting hairs between 4th and 5th rounds. Like, I'm not asking you to necessarily choose, are they going in the 4th round or are they going in the 5th round? It was more the idea that the Jaguars have more picks in those first 4 rounds than a lot of teams do, again, because of that trade. All right, so me and I so far, I feel like we have been in alignment. Exactly. Defensive tackle, edge, wide receiver, running back. Those are the first 4 for us. Taylor, you have something different than running back.
So mine, running back was on that cusp for me, but it was kind of hard because what I more so did was let me predict what I think those 6 will be, and I could be completely wrong. I think that offensive lineman is in mine. So I have, if I'm just going through mine, it's going to be same thing, defensive tackle. I had edge, I had wide receiver, I had offensive lineman as mine, like next if I'm going in that order. So that would be the next for me. I had tight end in that group of the who's going to be in the 6. And then that next one was the one where I kept battling of like, where can I see this going? And so to me, it's hard to not put safety in this because I think safety is a really high need. So those were my 6.
So
Go ahead.
To the offensive lineman point, I have been on the record. I have said I do not believe the Jaguars will leave day 2 without 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen. Well, if you're doing the math here, they have 4 total picks. And if now one of those has to be a wide receiver, something's got to go there. Something's got to give. And so for me, it's offensive line. And certainly...
And that's how running back was for me.
The way that they've spoken about Robert Hainsey and Patrick McCarry and how much they believe in those 2 individuals, not to mention the fact that they have added Fred Johnson to their free agent haul since the opening 4 days of free agency, that says to me that offensive line will not be the priority that so many believe it to be unless they're to put someone on the trade block, whether that's Cole Van Lannon, who, of course, visited with the Seattle Seahawks since he was a restricted free agent this past offseason. Look, Ezra Cleveland did not get the deal that he has from this administration. I know there's some a-hole out there who's going to say that about Walker Little. Excuse me. I didn't say the bad word. I didn't say the garden tool either. So there's somebody out there who's going to say, well, Walker Little didn't get his deal from this administration. Maybe someone at this table. I don't know. But the reality for me is that he was your highest graded offensive lineman.
Are you calling me the jerk?
Taylor has also criticized at times Walker Little. Taylor, this is fair game here. Taylor has also criticized.
He's all right. I haven't seen anything great.
Right, but at the end of the day,
wonder. Right. How does this administration feel about Walker Little? I think it's a very fair question.
And when it comes to the offensive line for me, it's funny that you say you feel like they really like what they have at offensive line. When Liam Cohen spoke, not yesterday, but his last one, I took notes and I'm mad because I deleted them. Because as he was talking, I was typing this and he was specifically talking about the offensive line. And to me, it seemed like he was like, it's okay. Like, we can get by with this. But he made a comment about how they're there for competition. They're there. It wasn't ever like, we love the guys on this line. It was like, these are guys that can battle. These are guys that have experience in this scheme. It was just that, like the experience in the scheme, and they've been in the league for a little while, so it can get you through. But I didn't get the vibe that they were like, this is our offensive line that I want in front of Trevor.
Right, and I agree with that. I agree with that. But at the same time, I don't think it's the priority that it once was. Because, note, they signed 4 offensive linemen in free agency. How many defensive linemen did they sign in free agency?
Oh, I still think defensive line is way over.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think before free agency, Mia, I would have said O-line 100% in the first 4 rounds. And then when they signed not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 guys, especially adding Fred Johnson late, that's when I took the step back and said, okay, I think that they now think, I mean, it's a numbers game. They now think that they've probably got enough. And I do think they'll get an offensive lineman. I don't think in the first 4 rounds. So it's funny for my notes, Taylor, I have getting offensive line, tight end, and safety all after the first 4 rounds. But I do think they'll address those. So let's see if we're still in alignment, Mia. My final 2, linebacker and cornerback. My final 2 positions, I believe the Jaguars will take with the first 6 picks.
Yeah, those aren't on my list at all.
So I've got 2 defensive linemen, whether that's an edge, 2 D tackles, however you want to spice that up. By the way, I think they take a third between rounds 5 and 7.
Defensive lineman.
Yes,
same. That's where my mind was.
I think they're going to come away with 3 of them total. We talked about the wide receiver at 36. We talked about the running back. I do think they will draft at least 1 offensive lineman before round 4 is through. In speaking with Jordan Reed, who you're going to hear from here in a bit, he really stressed that he believes the Jaguars, because of the numbers game, not only this numbers game we're playing on helmets and heels, but the reality of you usually only carry 10 offensive linemen on your active roster and you dress 9 of them. The Jaguars will be looking for someone who, yes, could be a starter down the line, but needs to have guard tackle versatility. And so that's where I say, hey, you want someone who can do more for you. And so I believe that person will be taken before round 4 is through. And then finally with the 6th one, it will be defensive back. Right? That's 6. Wide receiver, running back. Yes, offensive lineman, and then some combination of corner or safety. Because I have heard enough of, hey, we're not so sure about the group that we have. We like them. We like them, to be clear. We got to see what the board presents. But an additional player who can be a cover defender for you, whether that is a linebacker or if that's a cornerback or if that's a safety, if that's a hybrid, they need someone else. And certainly the argument of, do you need a cover corner opposite Tyson Campbell? Because not only would that player potentially play opposite Tyson Campbell, but let's say in a hypothetical here, you know what, RJ? Let's imagine here for a second, just make sure we give our friends at Closets by Design some love this week.
Imagine with Closets by Design.
Imagine your home totally organized.
Okay, so imagine here for a second, Jarian Jones wins the pseudo battle with Jordan Lewis, right? Jordan Lewis ends up lining up more in the slot. Jarian Jones goes to the outside. They play interchangeable. But ultimately, the Jaguars not only need a match opposite Tyson Campbell, another cover corner opposite Tyson Campbell. Taylor Dahl, how many games has Tyson Campbell missed the last few years?
Several.
That is where I say Buster Brown is entering a contract year. And while I love Buster, and he has provided excellent depth when he has been asked to step up to the plate as a 7th round pick once upon a time, the reason you need to draft a corner or a safety, depending what Anthony Campanelli wants to do on defense, is because what happens if one of those guys gets hurt? And you could say that in any hypothetical situation, but when you consider that your quote-unquote star, your blue-chip player, the lead dog in that defensive back room has missed significant time the last few years with soft tissue injuries, the reason that you will prioritize corner before the end of the 4th round is because what happens if Tyson Campbell goes down? Jarian Jones could play as great as the day is long opposite Tyson Campbell, but what if you lose Tyson too?
All right, so all 3 of us have defensive tackle, edge, wide receiver. Those 3 are across the board. Taylor then has offensive line, tight end, safety. Mia has running back, offensive line, defensive back. So we're leaving that open for either corner or safety. And I have running back, linebacker, cornerback. It'll be fun a week from tomorrow, a week from Friday, I should say, to be able to go through and at that point, we'll only be able to discuss 1 pick.
Yeah.
It'll be fun a week from next Monday when the draft is over.
We'll still be guessing our 6.
Exactly, because that's the first 4 rounds. So on Monday, we'll go through. But like Mia said, we will hear from ESPN's Jordan Reed on this wide receiver class. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 10 to Nix on 92.5 FM.
There's a reason play-by-play has been on the radio for more than 100 years.
There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. And
Your home for live play-by-play is 1010XL.
Mia here. You know, people typically start and end their day visiting their closet. So shouldn't that space feel calm, organized, like a little moment of luxury? That's why I chose Closets by Design. They specialize in creating custom solutions for every lifestyle and budget. Call them this week to schedule your free in-home consultation and get 40% off, plus another 15% off, and free installation. Don't wait for your mom to do it, folks. Call now at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. Closets by Design. Imagine your home totally organized.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Want to support a locally and veteran-owned company? If you need a new AC, we should be your first and only call. Ideal Conditions keeps you cool. Just ask your AC. Call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping, and you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Prosser here. Spring has sprung, and it's a great time to sell your house, but only if you have the very best on your side, and those very best are Chad and Sandy Newman. Spring selling season's here. Rates are down. Activity's up. It's the best time in years to sell your home, in fact, but there are homes sitting on the market. They don't have the right representation. That's where Chad and Sandy step in. Maybe you're worried your home needs repairs or updating and it won't sell for a good price. Maybe your family's growing and you need more space. Whatever the reason that you need to sell your home, Chad and Sandy deliver this promise to you. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Sounds pretty hassle-free to me. Take it from Mike and Rosemary in St. Augustine. We were determined to buy an affordable home in a specific school zone, but we didn't qualify for the loan needed to get one. Chad and Sandy's team worked with the lender, negotiated a higher qualification price, lower interest. It was huge, $200 less per month. Do it today. Call 414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
It's time to elevate your game night. Head to Best Bet, your premier destination for poker, card games, and hospitality. With locations in Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine, we have a seat ready for you. Whether you're a seasoned poker player or just starting out, we have you covered with poker games of all limits and easy-to-learn games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em. And it's not just poker. With delicious dining, lively bars, and big screen events, there's something for everyone at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com and ante up for fun.
Join me, Max Fink, as I keep a close eye on everything that happens in Gator Nation.
The Gator Report, polished up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators!
Pizza to Tea here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find the scratch kitchen that comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Come on, somebody.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
If you're heading to the Aug or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Rebound Rehabilitation. 11 great locations across the First Coast, and they're just a click away when it comes to feeling strong and healthy again. If you need the best path to recovery, look no further than Rebound Rehab. Log on and check out one of their great 11 locations.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Okay, so we didn't get a chance to give him a shout out yesterday, so I will on this front. Our friend High Tide on the South Side, using the a-hole term seems a little mean-spirited, but I will be that guy. I hate Walker Little as a football uniform wearer. Hate is a strong word. That's why I use it. Give me Will Campbell at 5 and trade Walker Little for a washing machine.
Okay, first of all, I need to use that quote because every time I say I hate Aaron Rodgers, people are like, you don't hate. Hate is a strong word, and that's why I use it. That is great.
I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, we all have those strong opinions about the players we've watched snap in and snap out. Like, you're not going to find a lot of people that are diehard Jaguars fans that are ambivalent towards guys, right? Like, maybe Brandon Sheriff fits in the category of like, I can't hate him, I don't love him because he was
He's kind
older.
of there.
He was older. He was always hurt. Like, he tried hard. He was a warrior, but like he just wasn't the right guard that the Jaguars needed the last few years. But other than that, I feel like if we went through it, it would be pretty much like people either love or hate Trevor. There's not really anyone who's on the fence. Like, well, I'm just not sure yet. Like, it's more like I think he can do it, or no, this guy is not generational. They should never have signed him to the extension.
Is Walker Little the new Trevor Lawrence of a lightning rod? Many are saying, because then meanwhile on the YouTube chat, yes, you can chime in on 1010XL's YouTube page. You can watch us live too. Hef says Mason Graham, Abuka, Josiah Stewart, Ozzie Trapillo, or Anthony Belton. Those are your first 2 days of the draft right there. Also, Walker Little will be a top 5 left tackle in the NFL next season.
Yeah, left tackles to me are typically polarizing. But again, you have to watch every snap of football like we do for this team to know if they're going to pan out or not. And I think the reason that people don't like Walker Little is it goes back to the very first time he was put in, or one of the first times, and you had Trevor Lawrence hurt his ankle because Walker Little stepped on it. And some people will never get that out of their head. Other people will see some bigger defensive ends manhandle him at times. And so anytime you see a left tackle get pushed backwards towards the quarterback, that's what stays in your mind. What the Jaguars think of Walker Little, that's what we'll find out after the draft.
Definitely. And I think that with Walker, too, and we've had this conversation, it's really hard to know what Walker is because he's been all over the line. Like, he's played all sorts of different spots. You've never really been able to see him full consistently from start to finish in one season at one spot. And so once that comes into play, you really don't know. So there's left question marks. And then so when there's question marks, that turns into you notice the bad more than the good. So when you're watching a game and you're seeing him get shoved into Trevor, you're seeing him get pushed backwards, that's going to stand out more to you than the moments where he was giving Trevor 3 seconds. You know, like, that is the problem with offensive linemen too, or trying to evaluate that offensive line position, because there's not those dedicated stats of, okay, you can go on to PFF and say he's ranked this and he's this, but a lot of times to me that doesn't match up to what you're watching on film. Some of the PFF offensive line rankings, I'm like, no way that's true. But I think there's a lot of things that factor into it, and I think some of that too are the guys that are beside you too. When you see the best offensive lines in the league, it's not because they have a left tackle that's really good and that's it. It's because they have multiple players on that offensive line that play at a very high level, and because they can all stay healthy throughout the season, they have that cohesiveness, everything kind of works together. And also some of that is play calling too, how these offensive linemen are used. And so there's a lot of factors that go into it. And so unfortunately, when you still have a question mark at the level you play, those bad moments are going to stand out a little bit more than those good moments.
Quick sidebar, Joe Shane, general manager for the Giants, currently meeting with reporters at their pre-draft availability. He says the Giants have already received calls from teams looking to trade up to number 3.
And now you wonder who that would be for. My guess would be Abdul Carter, that Travis Hunter goes to, and Abdul Carter, people want him. But maybe it's Ashton Genty. Maybe he's rising up these draft boards at this point in time. I feel like the only time you hear an offensive lineman's name during a game is if it's a poor performance. You don't normally have the situations where, like we saw when Ezra Cleveland was originally signed here or traded here to the Jags. You went back and you watched Ezra Cleveland film, and all of a sudden he jumps off the page because he's able to get down the field and help, the running back block like 20 yards past the line of scrimmage, and you get all excited about that. For the most part, though, you're not seeing the offensive linemen do, other than when they do their jobs, you don't really talk about them.
Yeah. No. Well, then that's good. Like when you're not having to say their name, usually it's a good thing. Every now and then you'll hear if they're facing one of like the better edges in the league, like, oh wow, so-and-so hasn't had a chance to, to get to the quarterback today. And that is a compliment. That's what you want to hear. But it is more so if you're hearing their name being talked about on a broadcast, then it's probably not good.
Correct. All right, Mia, this morning you had Jordan Reed on the Duval Rundown podcast.
Yes, I did. And he all but solidified what I already believed to be true, which is, and again, I've been saying this since I think last week, the idea of the Jaguars' sweet spot for the wide receiver position being with that second round pick. Here is Jordan. Big picture on the wide receiver class, but sharing the same sentiments.
Well, it's not like last year, honestly, just because we saw, Malik come off of the board, Marvin come off the board, and then also Rome Odunze come off of the board inside the top 10. I don't think we have that high-end marquee talent inside of the top 10. But I think the bulk of this year's receiver class is probably going to go really from like 12 to 40. That's where we're going to see a lot of the names come off of the board, which is great for Jacksonville. I think they're going to be, with that second round pick, they're really going to be in a great spot to get somebody maybe like a Luther Burden III or Emeka Ibuka or somebody along those lines. So they're sitting in a really good spot. But if I were Liam Cohen and James Gladstone, that second round pick, I would think long and hard about taking one of those wide receivers off of the board.
Which then, of course,
because the Jaguars aren't taking a receiver at 5, just to reiterate that point.
I need to put the asterisk of we recorded that podcast yesterday because Jordan had something going on this morning, a little something I think called Sports Center. And so we recorded that prior to Liam Cohen's comments about this wide receiver class maybe not being as glamorous as last year's in the first round. So just file that one away, folks. But hearing a little bit more from Jordan, I pressed because I was fascinated by his idea of Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State being there with the number 36 overall pick.
Well, I'm right there with you, and I don't want to spoil my 7-round mock draft that's coming out next Monday, but I have Emeka Ibuka going to Jacksonville with that second-round pick, and I'm super high on Emeka. He's a first-round player to me, but there's a lot of split opinions just because of the ceiling with him. But my pushback on that is we've already seen what he can be as a wide receiver, too, at Ohio State, just because when he was playing with Marvin, then also with the stud freshman and Jeremiah Smith that they have, he maximized that wide receiver 2 spot. And you already have Brian Thomas on the roster in Jacksonville, so you slot him right into that wide receiver 2 spot. He's ready to play right away. He blocks his tail off, he catches everything, and he runs very nuanced routes. So it's like, what am I missing as far as him not being a first-round guy? So if he's not a first-round player, I think it would be a huge mistake for somebody to let him fall to a team like Jacksonville just because you pair him with somebody like a Brian Thomas Jr., who's a bona fide number 1, in my opinion, already. I mean, I think it's a match made in heaven.
I couldn't remember the exact adjective Liam Cohen used. I had to go back and look at the transcript. Sparkling.
Yes, sparkling.
What is the first thing you think of when someone says sparkling, Taylor?
Sparkling, like water, like
wine.
Yeah,
right?
Sparkling wine or a seltzer, whatever, that type of thing.
That's the first thing I think of. So now I'll remember this wide receiver class is not a sparkling wine.
I think when you go back and I was looking at, number one, it's funny how different. Last year, we didn't have a defensive player go until pick 15 in the NFL draft, which is wild to think about. But then you go through and you look at those wide receivers, which it's going to be a historical wide receiver class. It's going to be one we talk about for a really long time. And when you go back and look at that, even so at picks 33 and 34 was Keon Coleman and Ladd McConkey. Pick 37 was Jalen Polk. That was probably that first wide receiver that did not work out this last year, at least in year one, did not look like it was. There was a lot of drops. There was a lot of issues. He wasn't picking up the playbook. There was a lot of things going wrong.
Which, by the way,
A.D. Mitchell's the one that was after that goes at pick 52. And I think that there were moments of A.D. Mitchell that you could see. The speed was what you always talked about, A.D. But that's how quickly it can drop. And if you're talking about that in a very bulky, heavy wide receiver class, if there's an Egbuka sitting there at that, or what was the other one he said?
Well, we're going to get to a couple others that he had to say.
So if somebody like that is sitting there at that point, to me, that would be really, really hard to pass up on.
I would just like to note that the New England Patriots took the wrong Washington wide receiver
Yeah,
because
they did.
Jalen McMillan went in that third round, and obviously Liam Cohen and the gang down there in Tampa Town worked wonders with the now former third-round pick. Some other names that the Jaguars could look for if they do indeed go wide receiver at 36, and if Emeka Egbuka is not there.
Yeah, well, two that really come to mind for me that I think fit really well in that McVay scheme. Jack Betch from TCU. He's one that I think they're going to be very high on. Maybe not so much at the top of the second round, but if he's there, third round, I definitely think they would be willing to take him there, or even trading back up from the third round and back into the second round. I think the NFL is going to be really high on him. He has a terrific story. Everybody knows what happened around the Senior Bowl time as well, but he catches everything. He's not ultra explosive like some of the other receivers in this year's class, but he has that inside out versatility that's really required in that Liam Cohen scheme. And I think the greatest thing about that scheme is that, as you mentioned, you don't have to pigeonhole somebody into being an X, a Y, or a Z or anything like that. You can just really use these guys all over in different spots. So Betch is definitely one. And then another is Alec Ayomanor out of Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
He's another that I think really fits the Liam Cohen mold too.
Yeah, I like both of those guys, Jack Besh and Alec Eomanor. The guy out of Stanford, of course, and Besh, as we've talked about for a while with the Senior Bowl and what happened to his brother. I think both of those guys, the problem is I don't think they're going to go with either of those guys if they take a receiver at 36.
No, they are. Those are the guys he's saying would be there at 36.
Yeah.
And
I think
those guys
I think
sitting there
Emeka
at
Egbuka is way above.
Oh, no, I do too. No, to be clear.
So I would go back. Yeah,
No,
Egbuka
here's
at 36 and the other guys.
Correct. Well, here's the thing. Like,
hope that they're there at the next.
I don't know if Emeka Egbuka is going to be there at 36.
Yeah, right.
Those guys will be there at 36. And while, yes, maybe that's a little bit of a reach, at the same time, if it's going to secure you a player that perfectly fits your profile, then who cares?
Or, like I said earlier, maybe they are interested in trading up. I don't know that they'll be able to trade down from 5, like we've discussed. There's not necessarily a guy that a lot of teams want to get up there to get, but maybe trade up because you do have a lot of draft capital. And so you package something later.
And that's what Jordan alluded to, the idea of can you take one of those third-round picks and package it with something else, move up into the end of the second round if a Betch was to fall. But again, I came away from yesterday's press conference even more sure than I was on Duval Rundown the last 2 mornings, speaking with Jordan, recording yesterday at 11 a.m., I became more sure than ever that 36 is going to be spent on a wide receiver in some form or fashion.
So on the other side, we'll let you hear from Liam Cohen on the wide receiver core, as well as the second and third wide receiver as he sees it on this roster, and also hear from Jordan Reed on the defensive backs to watch in this class. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
He's 1010XL's tackle eligible.
You a football player?
And he's always open.
Now go out and catch the ball for a change, all right?
Hi. Leon Searcy on XL Primetime. Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Mia here. I'm just going to cut to the chase. What you really want to know is why buy from Arlington Toyota? Well, you're in luck because I have over 800 reasons why. Like the fact that Arlington has over 800 vehicles to choose from, all on one lot, all at Arlington. And here's 60 more reasons, as in 60 days to love your purchase or exchange it for one that you do. Seriously, I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. Picture it. You buy it, drive it everywhere for 60 days, decide you love it, or decide you don't, and exchange it. Now, that's some test drive. And here's even more reasons why, like $0 down and just $288 per month for a pre-owned 2022 Toyota Corolla. You can even choose no payments till August 2025. You heard that right. No payments until August 2025 at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Now, you know why you need to buy from Arlington. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
This is Dr. George Bari inviting you to look online at bariorthopedics.com for the latest in medical advancements when it comes to getting you back to full joint health. After studying under Dr. James Andrews, I know proper diagnosis is the first key to treatment, and educating the patient is the fastest path to recovery. Whether it's chronic back pain, nagging arthritis, or necessary joint replacement, we're here to serve you in the best possible way. We are Bari Orthopedics and online at bariorthopedics.com.
Find out more at bariorthopedics.com. That's BAHRI orthopedics.com.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
Helmets and heels.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay and Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 16, 1940, Bob Feller of the Cleveland Indians pitched the first and only opening day no-hitter in MLB history against the Chicago White Sox.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged-up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass. He told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm Mac with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
With so many competitive pest services in town, you might wonder why Kingfish Pest Control's business is booming while similar companies seem to be struggling. It all comes down to service, affordability, and effectiveness. Kingfish Pest Control is a local family-owned company who delivers on their promises to effectively control pests like ants, spiders, roaches, termites, mosquitoes, and more. Your home is their priority, so call today and discover why your neighbors and your buddy Hayes Carlion trust Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. There was a time when if you handed me a bread basket at a restaurant, you better watch your fingers. Pizza, pasta, bread, carbs were absolutely my weakness. I'd be lying if I said they didn't have me hooked. Then Awaken 180 came into my life. I've been down every diet road there is, but this is different. It's not just another diet. It's a total reset of how you see food. You know that carb craving that we all accepted as normal? That's gone for me now. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the good stuff, but here's the difference. I no longer feel like I need them. So when the server puts that bread basket on the table, I just smile, sit back, and say, nah, I'm good. That feeling of control is all thanks to Awaken 180. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180. Hacker lost more than 110. Baloo is on his way, and you can lose whatever you want to lose. It doesn't matter what your goal weight is. Awaken 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely. It's a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180 has changed my life, and it will change yours too. Give them a call at 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com. Trust me, you'll thank yourself.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
We go together, better than birds of a feather, you and me. We change the weather.
One more second on the Jaguars, and then we'll get into some college football, well, sort of college football when it comes to Nico Iamaleava. All right, so yesterday we did hear from Jaguar general manager James Gladstone, head coach Liam Cohen, of course, and Mia just referenced how Liam was asked about this year's crop of wide receivers.
Yeah, I think there's some just good, sound, solid players at a few different spots where there's also some ball in hand athletes. There's also a couple guys that can win 50-50 balls. There's some really good football players all throughout this draft at the position. I wouldn't say it's maybe as sparkling as some other drafts, right? Where you do see, there's a couple good ones up there, and we feel good about some of the guys a little bit later on that we can contribute for us. Definitely a position that we'd be looking for.
I told you, now people will never forget sparkling is what Liam Cohen said about this year's wide receiver class. Not as sparkling as last year's. And one more he was asked about.
No offense, Liam, but the wide receivers of the Jags right now are also not very sparkly outside of
BTJ is glittery. I think he's got some glitter to him.
There's one that sparkles, the others not so much, including one that he didn't even name, but here's Liam Cohen on who's wide receiver 2 and 3 after Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, I think, we're going to spread the ball out hopefully equally. That was the nice thing about being last year with Tampa, and we had to play a lot of different players in different personnel groupings. I think you look just naturally right now at Parker Washington and Diami Brown at the receiver positions, and then saying that, hey, Brenton Strange hopefully continues to ascend. How do we use our 2 running backs to be able to supplement some of that usage, right, and be able to get more people involved in the game, especially early on, so that defenses can't just cloud, BT and be all over him, that we do have other guys that can go win and be explosive with the ball in their hands and ultimately share that wealth and share that playmaking ability, so that once the ball is snapped for the beginning of the game, and then within the first quarter, if you haven't touched the ball, it's a hard one to continue to get through. So how do we get all of our playmakers a touch early on to get them going and get them involved in the game? And those guys that I just mentioned right now are guys that we're going to spotlight.
So I do want to clarify. So the question, which kind of took a circumventing route, was receivers on the roster that can take pressure off of Brian Thomas Jr. and supplement and be the next in line. So I know I tweeted the second and third option because that's essentially what the question is being asked. Yeah. This idea of, okay, who's next in line? And I do want to make a note of that because, yes, obviously the notable omission of Gabe Davis is noteworthy, but I also think that those who are running around on the internet right now and saying Parker Washington is there too, take a deep breath. I think that this is a scenario where it's talking about, the idea, someone got my mentions and they're like, notice he said the running back's third. I'm like, relax. You're all reading way too much into this. The point is that the Jaguars recognize they need more skill players.
Yeah, don't miss the biggest point of all of what he said, and that is they've got to get the ball to Brian Thomas Jr., and just because he's got cloud coverage on him doesn't mean that they then can't run the offense. Yeah. That's massive. Yeah. They recognize he's the best skill player on this team. They recognize they have to get him the ball. They recognize that other teams are at times going to use cloud coverage, a.k.a. send multiple guys to try and cover Brian Thomas Jr., so therefore they have to have other weapons. That, to me, was massive news yesterday.
Oh, yeah, and that shows, their confidence level in what Brian Thomas Jr. is. Also, just already after one season of the confidence level they have in him. But I do think that, and I've had conversations with this with so many people recently when it comes to having somebody like BTJ, and that's not a familiar feeling here in Jacksonville, of having that wide receiver that not only can handle the double coverage when people are all over him and they're not giving him space and they're kind of focusing on him in games. We saw that this last year. I mean, late in this, there was nobody hardly playing. It was like Parker and BTJ with Mac Jones trying to get things done in the second half of the season last year, and people still couldn't stop
Parker.
Yeah, there was not even Parker, and people still couldn't stop BTJ at that point. Now you do have film. Now people are going to be able to kind of figure out some of his strengths and weaknesses a little bit more. I don't think that's going to change in a massively in any way, but I do also think that opens up opportunities for other guys. But you do have to have that strong number 2 wide receiver for that to be able to work, because when you have just the number one guy, and we see it all over the league, if they have that strong guy where you're like, if there was just one more guy on this roster, they'd be unstoppable. That takes it to the next level. That takes the offense to the next level. That's why in Tampa, with Godwin and Evans, it's just been this. They're unstoppable because they're two guys. When you talk about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, when you have the two, and not saying it even has to be a T. Higgins, like you can have maybe not the highest level of what a T is. It's hard to get both of those guys on your roster and keep them, but having that too, it just takes off also from Brian Thomas Jr. But then Brian Thomas Jr. creates so much. It creates all of this madness when it comes to people trying to figure out how to slow him down, and then that gives opportunities for these other guys.
That's the thing. They can watch the film, Mia, but you know what you can't really account for? 4.33 speed.
Yeah.
Right.
Not just the 40. Like, that is the game speed in which he plays. He's one of the fastest guys out there. So, yeah, you can try and prepare for what he's done in the past, but you know who had great second and third and fourth year seasons are all these guys you're talking about.
Yeah, interesting one off the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, which you can get in on the conversation at 904-641-1010. This is from 601. Liam Cohen is already forecasting how opponents are going to play Jacksonville. They're going to double number 7, as in Brian Thomas Jr., and play 2 high deep, and then opponents are going to say, beat us with the run. We bet you can't.
And that's why they are drafting Ashton Genty at 5, because they say we can be with the run. I half joke, but I do think that a strong run game is what we've discussed ever since Liam Cohen was hired in the shadows of the night. We've discussed a strong run game, and that's why there are proponents, not just here locally, but nationally, of people that are mocking and supporting that argument of Ashton Genty to the Jaguars. Not necessarily predicting that, but I do think that if they were to take a running back higher than what you would have expected, it's because of that exact scenario.
RJ, I'm going to call an audible here. If you could get Liam Cohen, the first clip, when he was asked about poor play on 3rd and short by the Jacksonville Jaguars offense last season.
Yeah, I think that's something that ultimately you look at last year. I think in the NFL we were first in Tampa in short yardage. And although I'd love to say that we just, ran duo down everybody's throat, I can't say that. There was some misdirection, jet sweeps, whatever it was, different ways of getting that yard. And ultimately, yes, you'd love to say, man, hey, we got to just gain a yard. We should be able to do this with the most simple plays in football. But it just depends on how you're built and what those matchups look like, obviously. And it is on us as coaches to hopefully put those guys in better positions to be successful that way.
And again, this is a guy who's now going from one of the best short yardage situations in the National Football League to the worst, which is why it's going to be the ultimate chicken or the egg theory of, is it scheme or is it, as Liam Cohen alluded to, how you are built?
Isn't it nice to have a coach that's in the offseason already preparing for what defenses might do, as opposed to your scenario earlier, Taylor, when it was Brian Thomas Jr. and basically only tight ends because everyone else was hurt. And the play caller here was calling a play in that they didn't have enough wide
BT was on the sideline. BT was on the sideline. He was banged up on that particular play against the Packers, too.
Yeah. So there you have it. Whereas I feel like now they're going to be certainly prepared for a lot more.
Yeah, and I do think when you take a look at the Bucks example, and we're going to go to that because that's what Liam Cohen is
Bucks and the
coming
Rams.
from.
That's
what we're going to compare.
Little Vikings and a little Packers.
Yeah,
that's
little
what we do.
sprinkles of some other things. But when you talk about that third down, the third down conversions in general, Tampa Bay was the best in the NFL last year. Tampa Bay was still top 8 the year before without Liam Cohen. Tampa Bay has been able to kind of find success in that area in recent years, and I think some of that when I was trying to tell Tampa fans to calm down earlier in the season of you've been able to hire people that have worked. So I do think that Liam Cohen came into a really good situation in Tampa, and I think we do have to take that into account a little bit. I don't think this Jags roster is where Tampa Bay's roster was when he took over last year, but I do think he made a lot of things even better, and that is a positive. He took it when we could talk about the rookie running back and what he did with Bucky. That's Liam Cohen because that is his guy. They drafted him. He developed him. He became a massive part of that offense. But they have really good weapons already. Baker was already kind of finding his groove back into being the Baker that people thought he was going to be. There was a defense that was really good a few years ago that kind of fell off, but you still have all of these building blocks there that were really good. But offensively, to me, it was an offense that was already on the up, and Liam Cohen just kind of took it over to the next level at certain points. But some of it I want to be a little patient. Don't expect all of a sudden the Jags be one of the worst third down teams to all of a sudden being in the top 5.
Point of clarification. So the Bucks were good at short yardage prior to Liam Cohen getting there.
Yeah.
Okay. Prior to Bucky Irving.
Yes.
And that was despite having the 31st best rushing attack overall.
Yep.
In 2023.
Yep.
What does that signify? Big people?
Offensive line.
Yeah.
along the offensive line.
And I think also Baker is that guy who will get those extra yardage too, being able to use a quarterback who is a bigger guy and will kind of run over people. And when you look at some of the things they would do in those and this is just third down, so it's not specific to like third and shorts or whatever. This is just strictly that third down percentage that I just said where they were still in the top 8. But I do think that is a part of it, which a lot of us are screaming with Trevor too. Like, why aren't we using Trevor more in certain areas of this too? And we felt like the year before we mocked it because it was like, okay, he would just stick his arm over the line and get a touchdown, and we're like, okay, he's going to get hurt. But at some point you do have to be smart and if you have a quarterback who has those capabilities, using him in the right moments too.
Right. It's just right now everyone's terrified that
he's hurt again.
Get hurt because of the last 2 years. All right, I want to circle back to Jordan Reed. He was on Duval Rundown again with Mia this morning from ESPN, and here are some defensive back names for him to watch.
When I just think of James Gladstone and what he did with the Rams, they always take players that are ready to play right away. They're not really known for taking on projects. And that's why they've had one of the better draft classes over the past 2 or 3 years, just because they take those instant impact type of players. But, just looking at my list, a couple of guys that really come to mind, Noel Williams out of California is one that I think they're going to be very high on. He had 7 interceptions last year, which was one of the tops in the country. He can play that off man, he could play press man, he could play zone. So even though we don't know what the scheme is going to be, I think Noah Williams definitely slots in perfectly as far as, just being very scheme versatile. But another name I'll give you that a lot of people really aren't talking about right now that I think is going to go much higher than what a lot of people are expecting. His name is Caleb Ransall. He's a cornerback out of Tulane. And if you remember, they always love taking players from small schools, whether it be FCS or G5 with the Rams. So he came from Tulane. He has nickel corner flexibility. He can play outside. There's some people that even like him at safety. And I think the Jaguars definitely need help in that facet too. So he's another guy that really can play all positions on the back end. And he was fantastic at the combine. He performed really well. So he'll probably go in that 3rd or 4th round range. If I had to guess, it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up going in the top half of the 3rd round. So keep an eye on Caleb Ransall.
So again, for all you draftniks out there, Stanford's Noah Williams and Tulane's Caleb Ransall.
Cal Noah Williams.
Oh, okay. He said Cal, and then when I Googled it, it said Stanford. So I was like, all right, I'll switch. I just assumed he meant out of California. But either way, Noah Williams and then Tulane's Caleb Ransall. All right, I want to let everybody hear on the other side an interesting response from a Tennessee Vols fan in regards to Nico Iamaleava. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
I suppose the most obvious question is, what is this? I believe it is our fate to be here. It is our destiny. It is
1010XL.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they're proud of their solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional non-commissioned sales team put your best interests first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online today at HodgesMazda.com or stop in to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple of years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
We're giving away free AC inspections to our wonderful customers who now call and schedule. But you must act today. A deal this good won't last forever. Call 904-862-6769. DuckDuckAC.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
It's a Helmets and Heels Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Enjoy a great day of golf and support Eagles View Academy Athletics. Friday, May 2nd at the newly renovated Bent Creek Golf Course. 8:30 shotgun start, best ball format. Find out more at EVAWarriorsathletics.com.
Hey gang, Prosser here, and it's always great when you can replace a problem with a promise. And let me get right down to it. When it comes to Chad and Sandy and selling your home, here's a promise that you can count on. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No, more. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down. Activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though, and hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize hassle is the key. Those expert agents, and I'm recommending them to sell your home, Chad and Sandy Newman. There have been lots of you out there on the First Coast who are taking advantage. Take David and Heather in Fox Ridge. This is out in Orange Park. We wanted to move to Keystone Heights to get closer to family, away from the city. We heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. What you hear is true. We got multiple offers and sold in 3 days for $15,000 above asking price. Call the local experts I trust and recommend to sell my home and yours. Call Chad and Sandy, 414-6200. ChadAndSandy.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Are you ready for some exciting football action? Your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates Saturday, April 19th. Get family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for only $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. A fun night for the kids. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here. The Jacksonville Sharks are 3-0 and ready to make it 4-0 this weekend as your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates this Saturday. Get our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for just $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. And go Sharks! Go Sharks!
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound & Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound & Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers, floral, or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Baker Glass. The Florida Gators men's baseball team bats remain hot after a big 14-4 victory over the Stetson Hatters last night, with Gators third baseman Bobby Bozer slugging 3 home runs along with Ashton Wilson, who finished a triple shy of the cycle, driving in a team-high 4 runs. Gators head coach Kevin O'Sullivan spoke postgame on the offensive performance.
From an offensive standpoint, what can you say about Bobby's night? He gets 3 home runs. Ashton, I think, got 3 hits and had 4 RBIs and a 3-run homer. Brody Donay had 2 key hits in the ball game. What can you say about Brennan Lawson? His second consecutive walk-off for him. So, all in all, it was a really good night for us.
The Gators next travel to Starkville, Mississippi for a 3-game weekend series against Mississippi State starting Friday at 8. Hear the game live on 1010 a.m. It's 76 degrees at 12:15 58. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. All right, let's get into some college football, at least news in the world of college football. We appreciate sports reporter Emily Ray Cochrane out of Knoxville as she was interviewing Vols fans in regards to Nico Iamaleava entering the transfer portal a day ahead of the spring game. And here is a classic response.
It seems like a lot of Tennessee fans would rather have a quarterback who wants to be here, who wants to represent the orange and white. Is that kind of, your stance on this as well?
Exactly. I want somebody that's going to put the blood, sweat, and tears on the field and represent us as fans, somebody that we're proud to come and see. I hate that for him, somebody that's putting money before loyalty, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's Lane Kiffin us. He left in the middle of the night. For a sweeter deal. But that's okay. We've got better talent coming, and as long as we can keep that talent coming in, Tennessee's program's going to be at the top again.
He Lane Kiffin us. And then the best part is that Lane Kiffin himself saw this video on X and then quote tweeted it with like the face plant, palm to the forehead. Yeah.
But he also said left us for something sweeter in the night. Tulane has pulled himself out of this now.
That's the most interesting part is now Pete Nakos of On3 has reported several things since the story broke. Certainly, really it broke on Saturday, but like I said yesterday, Jimmy Himes kind of reported it on our 1010XL on Friday on the Frangie Show. So he's reported, yes, that Tulane does not want any part of Nico. He's also said that some schools are interested, but only if Nico drops his request to $1 million a year. So not only was Nico searching,
he was
for
making
four,
$2 at Tennessee, right?
2.4. Yeah. Then now it would drop to $1 million. There's also been reports that Nico is now listed as a do not contact designation in the portal, and that usually indicates either the player knows where he's going or that his representatives want to initiate communication with a select number of schools. In other words, Nico's not just going to go anywhere is what that's indicative of. And finally, a Power 4 general manager said this, which we know there are more and more of those these days. It will be interesting to test how smart and disciplined colleges are in looking at him. I think he has a zero market. So
well, if he's got a no contact, he's got a promise from somewhere.
Either that or he wants to be selective in where he's going. And that doesn't surprise me based off of how he got to this point in the first place.
Well, if you say no contact, then no one's going to contact you, buddy.
I mean,
I'm not sure anybody's contacting.
And that's the thing. I do think that, like I said, it's a little similar to Jaden Rashada in that we want this crazy amount of money and maybe the player's not worth it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Nico is necessarily going to sue Tennessee. Maybe he will at some point. Who knows? But the more important thing is Nico really going to land somewhere better for him than at Tennessee making $2.4 million in a system where the coach designs the entire offense around the quarterback?
Yeah, my answer is no. And that's what when we were talking to Cole Thompson the other day, and he made a really good point of we're talking a lot of the Nico side in this, but it's an unfortunate part of NIL right now because nobody wins in this situation. Tennessee and Heupel have lost a quarterback that they've spent a few years now building an entire offense and team around, developing this guy, and now they have to figure out their quarterback situation all of a sudden, and your money gets involved in that now because of NIL. So if you're going to be a quarterback at Tennessee, you're going to be getting paid something. So that is now another factor when you already had the NIL money and everything kind of situated with Nico previous to all of this happening. But then now Nico is in this world where there's schools like Tulane pulling out and say they don't want a part of it. And so he's now probably going to lose money compared to what he was. And I know that's not the biggest thing, but also I'm truly interested at where he lands because I don't think it's going to be a better situation than what he was at Tennessee.
Nope. And look, and then he just becomes the next unfortunate case. And look, for all we know, maybe there is a team out there that has made a promise to him. Maybe there is. That it's at the Power 4 level. But ultimately where I see this going is he's going to settle for some Group of 5 school and say, well, I'm rehabilitating my image. Well, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. If this is indicative of who your character is, once upon a time, you were this highest paid high school recruit. Now you're seeking to be the highest paid college quarterback despite the middle of the road numbers you put up in one season of starting duty. It just all leads to he's going to bounce to at least 2 more schools before his college career is done. And who knows if he even has an NFL career from my vantage point.
Well, and we know he's not going to transfer to an SEC school. He would have had to have entered the winter transfer portal in order to go to another school in this conference, since obviously Tennessee's in the SEC. He's in the spring portal, which means he has to go somewhere outside the SEC. So at least, those teams that are going to play Tennessee on the schedule this year, they're not going to face Nico Iamaleava. There are rumors that he and his camp were looking for money while the college football playoff was going on. So before January, when Josh Heupel the other day after meeting with media said, Nico came to us in January and his dad. But during the college football playoff, no wonder your team didn't play all that well. Like there was a splintered, fractured team and locker room at that point in time because they're trying to focus on the goal at hand. And we've been told by people that work for athletic departments that this is so distracting. It is such a distraction when you start to play well. And then teams, you're not even in the portal, and teams contact you and offer you money, and then you're no longer focused on playing for your brothers, right? You're no longer focused on winning the championship. You're focused on how much more money can I get if I go somewhere else, and what's the best highlight film that I can put together, and that's frustrating. I do have one completely positive, I'll say, or I'll ask y'all the question. Can this be a positive thing? So Todd McShay, who used to work for ESPN, now works for some other organizations, The Ringer, I believe. He said that when he played in the NFL, Marty Schottenheimer told him that the hardest part of evaluating these college students is trying to predict what a human being will do with more money, fame, and free time than he's ever had before. So that's how it used to be, obviously, in the NFL. Now these guys are getting paid before they come into the NFL. Is it maybe a slight advantage to be able to determine what a Shedeur Sanders, a Travis Hunter, a Cam Ward will do at the next level with money and fame when they already have it when they're entering the league? Can we at least try to take that from this? Am I stretching it a bit?
I'm sure there, I think yes. I think there are probably certain things that you will be able to tell, especially because at the college level, and I was listening, I think it was Hayes Carline yesterday when they were talking about this topic, and Hayes made a comment about how it's the same thing now. You're like, college football is turning into pro football, but the problem is it's worse because there's no contracts. There's no this set obligation. There's not all of these here's all of the intricate little things that go into people signing these and what money they get and what positions get this and all of those intricate things that the NFL have now and have had for a long time. College football doesn't have that. So it's worse. And so, yeah, I do think that if you're talking about a 19, 20, 21-year-old kid who's getting a ton of money, there's no regulations, there's no rules. It's just the wild, wild west out there in the NIL world. And then they come in and there are a little bit more regulations. I do think you're learning something to how they spend their money, how they react to this money, how if they're leaving for multiple schools for more money, a situation like this, if Nico hypothetically was one of the quarterbacks that maybe this year was in that bunch of ones talking about going into the draft next year and people really liked him and he bailed on his team, what would that look like to other people?
Yep.
And so I do think there's probably things that coaches, GMs, scouts can learn from this. I'm not sure how much they'll take out of it because I think they'll still say they're 21-year-old. They're 21-year-olds. Let us get to the NFL. The NFL also is way more, like I said, there's way more strict of how contracts work. They also teach these guys. I think every NFL team has people that go in and they're like, okay, money managers almost of here's what, not that everyone listens, but they do have more resources for the guys when they get into the NFL than the college level, which college level probably wants to start looking into more stuff like that.
Well, and we're getting to a point where, again, it comes down to, are you seeking out representation while you are a high school student? And we are seeing more and more of that. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, so long as they are going to one of these agents who is an actual agent, right? As opposed to
momager or dadager.
Yes, momager, dadager, Uncle Earl, who he played football when he was in middle school, so therefore he knows how to manage my career. And so that's the thing, is if they seek out, and because again, there's no guidelines, so it's I would like to think the Uncle Earls are being weeded out. They'll always exist, but as more and more former NFL agents and executives, former college agents, NFL agents, executives, going from the NBA. Like, I mean, I had this conversation with you the other day, Taylor. The number of NFL agents who are now expanding to the NIL space at both the collegiate and the high school level, but even beyond football, and they're representing individuals in multiple sports, that for me is huge because that's someone who has taken the bar, who is approved by the NFLPA as an agent. And that person can now offer his or her services to a high school student. If you're that high school student, that's who you should be seeking because that's who's going to set you up both financially, get you the resources you need so you know how to invest your money. Or at the very least, they have someone who will properly invest your money for you.
I do think the colleges now, the athletic departments are doing classes on finances and also social media to try and help the players understand their role in branding.
Yeah.
And then also, obviously, the money that comes with it. I know for sure the NFL has those financial classes for rookies, but I do think that now, because of the collectives, a lot more of the schools are realizing that their student athletes are less student athletes and more becoming professional players, basically, at the collegiate level. All right, so we started the first hour talking all Jaguars. Let's bring this full circle. Liam Cohen at the NFL Combine was asked, has NIL and transfer portal affected the readiness of players?
I don't know if it's the readiness, but it's definitely something we have to be aware of, right? It's not going anywhere. And it's absolutely something that we have to be aware of when it comes to how do we onboard our players. The individual development program that we have, whether it's through strength, the athletic training, the coaching staff, the personnel, it's the onboarding process that we have to be really detailed about and make sure that we're vetting the right players, right? Why did they move? Why were they going from place to place? A lot of guys are just trying to climb and go get better for themselves. So it's more about the onboarding process and really kind of how do we evaluate these players, not more so where they've been.
Why does it sound? Liam's like, I know about going place to place, so I have to defend that a little.
Not when he was a player, but as a coach for sure. Why does the word onboarding sound so normal when Liam Cohen says it?
Oh, it's somebody texted in already or chatted in on YouTube, and they're like, there's a new buzzword every other week. Onboarding has been a buzzword here for years and years.
Yeah.
So that's the good news. You got a nice little callback there, folks. But I do think he makes a good point of, look, part of it is the evaluation as you're drafting the player, but Trent Baalke was right. I love to say when Urban was right, Trent Baalke was right. How you bring these players into the league is paramount. Definitely. Because now these players, to your point, Lauren, these players understand, okay, I'm being paid. I have to invest my money. But what those players may not understand is you don't have to go to class anymore. So how are you taking care of your body? How are you maximizing your off season? How are you maximizing each night when you go home to do your quote unquote homework, AKA watch tape and prepare for the next day? Those are things that still to this day, you may not be getting at the collegiate level, independent of NIL or transfer portal, because maybe that's just not how your collegiate program was run. And that is as big a part of an onboarding process as is how do you manage your money?
Which is why it's going to be fascinating to see how many high recruits end up wanting to go to North Carolina to play for Bill Belichick, because he was the leader of the NFL world for so long. Some people thought to be the best coach of all time in the NFL. So is he going to prepare his players? We won't know, of course, the return on investment until a few years down the road. But are the North Carolina players best prepared for the NFL because of their head coach? And look, coaches throughout college football have had ties with the NFL. He's not the only one. But he's the only one who won, 6 championships?
Shout out
Brady
Michael.
has 6 and he has 5. Brady has 7, he has 6. One of those things.
Well, shout out Michael Lombardi, too, because Michael Lombardi's the one who's dealing with the
it's
money.
It's funny, too, because the guys that he is recruiting now, though, was born in 2005 and later. So I don't know how much they care about the Bill Belichick to the full of what he did previously. And that's what it will be fascinating to see how this goes. If after this year, obviously you want to see the product on the field, but just in general, the recruiting of this year and how that stays and how he keeps that going if things maybe don't go the way that people kind of want it to go that first year. If people are still like, oh, let's go to Bill Belichick, or if they're like, nah, that's over. It's over.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
I feel like if North Carolina doesn't win at least 6 games this season, he's already going to be on the hot seat because he's such a
not the
difficult
hot
guy.
seat. It'll be his son will suddenly be taking over after this 1 year.
Yeah. All right. Terminix Pest of the Day is on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
1010XL takes you behind the microphone.
We can and we will. And do you know why?
We're good looking. Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
We're very good looking. You especially.
Mornings on 1010XL.
MOV, ING, Southside Kia is moving. Our moving sale is on right now. Help us clear new Kias out. Our current selection's got 200 plus Kias on the lot. Hurry to save big with us. New rides starting at just $20,000 bucks. Plus, bring your tax refund today. We'll double it up to $5K. MOV, ING, get to Southside Kia this spring. Online at SouthsideKiaJax.com. Get your next ride at Southside. For complete details, call 904-325-9208.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all. From mowing, edging, fertilizer, to irrigation, and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Helmets and Heels.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local woman-owned solar company. Did you hear? JEA is raising rates again. With summer right around the corner, those power bills are only going to go up. But with solar, you can take control of energy costs and say goodbye to rising rates. At Clay Solar, we make switching easy and affordable. Stop paying more for power and own it. Visit claysolar.com to schedule a consultation today.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging? Spring is here, a time to renew. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, here to help you look and feel your best with minimal to no downtime. Rejuvenate your skin, strengthen your core, and sculpt your body with advanced face and body treatments designed to restore your youthful glow and confidence, just in time for spring and summer. A healthier, more fit you starts now. Visit dermagnify.com and step into spring looking and feeling your best.
Say goodbye to glasses and contacts with customized vision treatments at Bowden & Associates. Hey, Hicken here. Dr. Bowden and his expert team bring you all the latest options like Evo implantable Collamer lenses, refractive lens exchange, or traditional LASIK. Tailored just for you. Imagine waking up to clear vision. No hassle, no fuss. You ready to see the difference? Call now or visit BowdenEye.com for a free screening. Bowden & Associates, keeping the first coast focused.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
For over 5 decades, a true American band. This is America. Encore Tour 2025, an unforgettable evening with America. April 23rd, Florida Theater. On sale now at floridatheater.com. America, live in concert, produced by Outback Presents.
Interested in a unique date night? Gibby here. I took my wife Nikki to Wick a Candle Bar. She made her own custom candle right there in the store. Shop local at Wick a Candle Bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Baby, you a song. You make me want to roll my windows down and cruise.
Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders, Mia O'Brien. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. By the way, to clarify earlier, Jordan Reed said Noel Williams, not Noah Williams, which is why I got confused as to what school he went to. But Noel Williams, again, for all of you who want to research the draft prospects for the Jaguars or maybe other schools or other teams, I should say, Noel Williams out of Stanford, and then Tulane's Caleb Ransa. All right, time now for today's Terminix Pest of the Day. RJ, I feel like you were watching this live as I was last night, and you will understand. Terminix, as always, brings you the pest of the day. You can find them online at Terminix.com, Terminix. They take care of Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, as well as our house, whether you have pest issues, termite issues, and nowadays mosquitoes issues as well. Contact Terminix. The pest of the day, Trey Young. He was teed up for throwing the ball at the ref. Yeah, you can't do that, Trey. Then he was teed up... then he took the ball, he wouldn't give it to the ref, and then he was ejected following that. So, yeah, 2 technical fouls. You can't do that, Trey Young, as the Hawks lost to the Magic last night. RJ, your thoughts on Trey Young?
Tune in tonight out on Open Gym here on 1010XL.
Yes.
I just believe, he was frustrated, believes that he wasn't getting a couple calls. And in some ways, I could understand. In other ways, I felt like he was trying to, as the young kids are saying it now, foul bait to get to the line. And, yeah, he started complaining a lot to the refs the entire game, where I'm saying, man, just get up and get back on defense. And he wouldn't. And I think the frustration really got to him, especially when the Magic went on that run late in the fourth.
Yeah.
So I just think, everything boiled over for him, and it capitulated from there. So... yeah, for me, wasn't the greatest look for Trey and what he did, but I can understand being upset in a certain situation, especially when you're losing. So
yeah, down 20, probably not the best feeling.
Right, but you can't act like that. You're a professional athlete. As Mia mentioned, RJ's Open Gym is tonight, tomorrow night, and Friday night, all 8 to 10 p.m., right, RJ?
Yes.
All right, so tune in. What do you have coming up tonight?
Well, we will not be talking solely basketball on this program. We will be talking a little bit of college football, especially with Nico Iamaleava. We'll be talking with Tony Barnhart at 8:30 to discuss that and what we've learned from this situation. We'll also have Kurt Heelan to discuss the NBA play-in games as well as the NBA playoffs, because they will be starting on Saturday. So just make sure to tune in and enjoy a podcast or doing a thing.
Is Cole Anthony the new Michael Jordan? Why or why not?
The new MJ?
I'm just being facetious here.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, maybe he would want to shave his head.
Plus
first.
32 in the plus-minus category. It's pretty darn good. And look, I mean, I know Anthony Black double digits as well, and Paolo and Franz are not going to be what they were at the start of the season, in my estimation, maybe ever. Would you agree, RJ? Just because I don't know that they are 100% healthy. I think you could say that about the bulk of this Magic roster, but ultimately it's about the sum of the parts, not the part of the sum. That's how they built it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to come into this postseason healthy. I think everybody's going to be having some nagging injuries everywhere, and that goes for all teams. I mean, hence the fact why I think you saw teams like the Lakers and even the Boston Celtics, for that matter, start to rest guys once they clinched their playoff spots. So, you know, you look at this Boston Celtics series, even with the Orlando Magic, and you're looking at a guy like Jaylen Brown, who's been going back and forth between a knee injury. And how do the Orlando Magic decide to exploit that? This is going to be a time for Paolo and Franz to really show the NBA what they are. I understand this wasn't the season in which you wanted to have due to the fact that you had both of your top star players have oblique injuries almost back-to-back. Jalen Suggs is not coming back for the rest of the year. Cole Anthony has been in and out. I believe he missed 25 games this season. Mo Wagner is out for the rest of the year. So, yeah, that injury bug hit Orlando like something you wouldn't believe, but I think you come into this series with a lot of confidence. Paolo Banchero has been, I think this month, or it could have been last month, averaging 29 points per contest. So it's definitely going to be a tough out for the Boston Celtics, because I don't think you want to say, yeah, our first round matchup is the Orlando Magic. That's a scrappy team that you have there in Central Florida. So definitely going to be an interesting series. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so the Magic beat the Hawks last night 120-95. The Warriors beat the Grizzlies 121-116. And then tonight we have the Heat taking on the Bulls. Taylor's team, Bulls playing host of the Heat, I should say. That one's at 7:30. And then the late tip, the Kings play host of the Mavericks at 10 o'clock. I'm
very glad we do not have the late
I was
tip.
going to say, I watched a lot of that Hawks Magic game. I can't say that I stayed up for Grizzlies Warriors, even though I was interested. It's just, yeah, they cater so much to the West Coast, and I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
The Warriors and
Well,
Kings are
Buckets
on
had
the
almost
West Coast.
40 last night, so it's Jimmy playoff time, I guess.
Exactly.
RJ, will we be doing a dramatic reading of the transcript between Nico Harrison, the general manager of the Mavericks, and local media with regards to the Luka Doncic trade? Or will you be doing that on Open Gym tonight, or would you like for me to do some of that here now?
I mean, you can also do it here now. I'm going to talk about that with Kurt Heelan. That was interesting. You're doubling and tripling down on the Luka Doncic trade. Here's an interesting thought. You just don't trade 25-year-old supernovas. That's an idea,
Seriously.
and I think that's why
want to be there. Right. Like, you could tell by his reaction that other night during the tribute. Like, he wanted to be there. He wanted to play.
Right, and he was building his dream home.
Yeah.
Taylor, though, you do have at least one good Nico. We have the Nico Harrison. We have Nico Iamaleava, both in the news.
Nico Horner is the greater Nico.
I love this question, by the way, like right out of the gate from this roundtable, which, by the way, the Mavericks did not allow local media to film it either.
They wouldn't allow any recording, any cameras, anything.
Read
this
the
is so-
room.
So did you get patted down as a reporter before you walked in
I guess so, but anyways, shout out to friend of the program, Michelle Montaigne of WFAA, for at least transcribing it with her own little Twitter fingers. Opening question. The majority of your fan base wants you fired. How do you respond to that? Here we go. I need some music behind me, RJ, because this is just this is confounding. I don't care if it's the NBA, the NFL. Like, how tone deaf do you have to be? The beauty of Dallas, this is Nico Harrison, is it's a passionate fan base. For us to reach our goals, we need that fan base. Every trade I've made since I've been here has not been regarded as a good trade. Sometimes it takes time. I traded for Kyrie, met with a lot of skepticism. It was graded as a terrible trade. You didn't see it right away. Eventually, everyone agreed it was a great trade. Here's my favorite part. I think a lot of times trades take a bit of time, but our philosophy going forward is defense wins championship, and now we are built on defense. This trade cements us for that.
Yeah, this one's not going to take a lot of time for people to understand. It's a terrible trade. It's being speculated as the worst trade of all time in the NBA, and it probably is.
Mavs fans are pain everywhere.
To channel our inner Jameis. You got that right. All right, on the other side, I want everyone to hear what you missed last night. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 10 to Nix on 92.5 FM.
Big moment. Play-by-play is full of plot twists. Did that just happen? And high-octane drama.
And this game is tied.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When mosquitoes show up, they are such a buzzkill. You want them out of your yard and fast. At Terminix, they know that mosquitoes bite, but not for long. They'll provide regular treatments to protect you and your family all season long. Go ahead and schedule that picnic, because when mosquitoes show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a mosquito problem or a termite problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
What does your dream backyard look like? Hey, it's Joe C. and my friends at CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living can design an outdoor kitchen layout custom built to your taste and lifestyle. You dream it, they can build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Visit CSSOutdoor.com.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Get ready for the best prices ever on all diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets at Beard's Diamonds. For 7 days, April 21st through 27th, you will get up to 40% off. Yes, 40%. Locally owned Beard's Diamonds always beats the big corporate store prices. But next week, they're taking value to a whole new level. All diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets are on sale. Big time. Best prices ever. You save up to 40%. Don't miss this first time ever buying opportunity. Next week only, and only at Beard's Diamonds, St. John's Town Center. Shop local, shop Beard's.
David Lane here, and once again, I'm happy to share news of my success with back and knee surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Whatever it is that's bothering you, take it from me. Simply set an appointment today at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and let them help you get back to normal life. I'm certainly glad I did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Draft season is here, and so is Mia's Mock Draft Mondays. And this year, we're powered by One Night Taco Stand. Each week, I'll unveil a new set of possible targets for the big cats on the 1010XL social channels and 1010XL.com. Let's talk about it on 1010XL.
Your home is your sanctuary where memories are made. Jack's homeowners trust Superior Fence and Rail to make their home feel safe, secure, and complete. Imagine a classic wood fence for privacy, sturdy aluminum to protect your pets, or a modern vinyl design that boosts curb appeal. Every fence is built with precision and pride, standing strong in every season.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. The showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs, we've got motorcycles, we've got scooters, we even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Are you ready for some exciting football action? Your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates Saturday, April 19th. Get family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for only $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. A fun night for the kids. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here. The Jacksonville Sharks are 3-0 and ready to make it 4-0 this weekend as your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates this Saturday. Get our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for just $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. And go Sharks! Go Sharks!
Instant Key.
the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Do you know someone looking for a fun and rewarding summer job? Join the YMCA team, gain valuable experience, and make a difference in kids' lives. Turn your passion for this community into a fulfilling career at the First Coast YMCA. Now hiring camp counselors, lifeguards, child care leaders, and membership experience team. Every single person on the dedicated YMCA staff plays a role in making the Y a welcoming and vital resource for our community. Find your career at the Y at fcymca.org.
Equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
As the Nico Iamaleava saga continues, I do want to give a shout out as we cool down here on this fine Wednesday on Helmets and Heels to... Is it Nakos? Is it Nakos? I don't know how to pronounce Pete's last name, but the lead...
I say Nakos.
Nakos, there it is. The lead transfer portal reporter for On3, who after he broke the news of Iamaleava and his camp looking for more money, entering the transfer portal, essentially holding the Volunteers hostage, he got a lot of hate on the old X timeline, not just from Nico Iamaleava's camp and his family.
Hate on X? What?
Someone quote tweeted it and said, this guy is not going to have a job after today, to which Shannon Terry, the founder and CEO of On3, quote tweeted and said, this guy is getting a raise on Monday. And it took until Tuesday, but yesterday they took a picture of Shannon handing Pete his new contract with a well-deserved raise, new long-term deal. He writes, one of the brightest young stars in college sports media, an even better human. Proud of you, Pete. He is a great reporter. I mean, he's as plugged in as anybody. But what I love about it is, so he's handing him the paper, and in the background, there's a framed picture, and it says, give a damn. So there you go.
I love that.
There you go, Iamaleava camp. Enjoy.
I hope they added that. On Twitter, added that guy, whoever.
Oh, they quote tweeted him. Oh, he's in the thread.
Perfect.
Wild.
I love this. I love petty.
Wild as a mink, whoever that is. Yeah, the poor guy. His mentions are probably they have been crucified. Yes.
Yeah. If you missed it, we talked about it earlier, and Nico and his camp started asking for more money back in December when Tennessee was still in the college football playoff. And of course, Tennessee lost. Then in January, the camp went again to Josh Heupel and the administration at Tennessee and asked for more money, even though Nico's making over $2 million. He was asking reportedly for $4 million, and now schools are saying, sure, we'll take you for about $1 million. So it looks like this is going to be a lesson to other college football players, and that's what we were certainly hoping when the news came out on Friday that he was skipping practice ahead of the spring game, hoping that it's going to be send a message to other college football and other college student athletes in general that you can't just constantly demand for more money because you know what? You don't have all the leverage.
Yeah.
The school still has some leverage.
And that's what I think this bounce back is, the school saying you don't have everything here. Yeah, it's kind of flipped in the light of it's not all us now and we don't have all of the power, but neither do you. And I applaud, I've said this a few times already, I applaud Tennessee for the way they handled it, because I do think it is a difficult decision. It is hard to somebody, like I said, that you've built this roster around and developed, and somebody that you were counting on being your starting quarterback, and you're already in spring and people are getting ready to football season feels far away, but it's right around the corner. Once this time hits, it's here. And so being able to separate that and say, no, it's the same thing we do with the NFL teams who are like, okay, sit. Like, we're not doing this. We're not going to play this game with you forever.
Absolutely. You want to hold out? Fine. Yeah. I'm with you. I love the pushback from the University of Tennessee and their athletic department and saying, Nico, you don't run this world. Like, you and your family, maybe you run your family's life, but you don't run this school. You don't run the Vols, the long history of the, volunteer football. And go take your 19 touchdowns and 7 interceptions elsewhere, and we'll see you on the flip side. And Tennessee most likely will probably be in the college football playoff once again, assuming they can get a quarterback up to speed. Nico and whatever team he lands on, we'll see if they make the college
I just
football
get
playoff.
such a kick out of how he was like the first $8 million high school guy. I'm so shocked. And I recited this the other day from Chris Marler with ESPN Baton Rouge and SEC Unfiltered. I am stunned that guy is the one that is opening this can of worms too.
And look at Jaden Rashada. He's going to be on school 4. He's in the transfer portal from Georgia once again. Maybe he's not school 4, but he's at least been linked to obviously so many schools. It's hard to keep track. He was once in Miami and Florida.
What happened to the UNLV kid last year? Because he ended up going to
Matthew Sluka.
Yeah, because he went somewhere and looked bad, and then the UNLV kid that came behind him actually ended up being pretty good.
Right.
So that's one of the things when you talk about this situation, they are gambling on themselves when they do this, and sometimes it's like, look, there is a piece of college football that we're totally losing. Maybe grasp onto a piece of that and the loyalty to the program a little bit, but also, I mean, it's a big risk on yourself. You're not only hurting you, but you're hurting the school that you're leaving too. But I feel like that's not in the forefront of a lot of these guys' minds. Clearly,
people have mentioned UNLV because Dan Mullen's the coach there for Nico, but I don't know that I could see Dan Mullen and Nico Iamaleava getting along.
God. Can you imagine? I would need a camera. I would need a camera. Dan back in college football, and Josh Pastner is the men's college basketball coach now at UNLV. I already need a camera out there at all times. I need a docuseries. But if you throw the Iamaleava family into the mix, oh my God.
Maybe if our show ends up back in Vegas this football season, maybe you can make a trip to the UNLV campus.
We should, honestly. I kind of want to see what it looks like. I mean, it wasn't that far. I remember when we were in Vegas in December, Dan had just been hired and was doing a live hit, I'm pretty sure on the Pat McAfee show as we were doing our show. And I look up and it's like, well, he's only a couple, miles down the road. This is a little weird.
Do you think this is completely hypothetical because they did make the quarterback move? But do you think that if Florida State didn't go get Castellanos, that they would, like Nico, someone they may have risked for?
That's a really good question. Mike Norvell's personality, I feel like no, but at the same time, when you're on the hot seat after a 2-10 season, if you think Nico's better than what you have, then yes, I think you bring him in. But yeah, I do think it's a moot point because they've now invested so much and developed so much with Thomas Castellanos.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I want to throw this one y'all's way since our friends at the Up and Adam show just posted it. These odds, from what I have seen, and maybe on the text line you guys can clarify, I haven't seen these odds with our friends at Hard Rock Bet, although I did see they did yesterday put best odds for the Jaguars, who will be the 5th overall pick. Those odds are back on Hard Rock. But this one's interesting to me, and maybe it's there, maybe it's not. But Jackson Dart, minus 370 to be a first-round pick. That's the current line at a couple different sports books elsewhere outside of the state of Florida. And now
those odds changed once they announced that he's going to be attending the draft in person.
And now, this was from 33 minutes ago. So that must be up to the minute. I trust Matt Hamilton, so I'm assuming that's what it is. And now the question is, does Jackson Dart go before Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, that's been a question we've kind of floated around for the past couple weeks. Is we knew Jackson Dart, as soon as the Gator Bowl ended, we knew Jackson Dart was going to, throughout the pre-draft process, was going to climb up boards. We just didn't necessarily envision Shedeur Sanders falling as to where he has so far. I think it's a great question because, like we talked about yesterday with the Giants requesting the private workout with Shedeur, are they trying to completely fool all of us and kind of put up smoke screens that they're not taking Shedeur, but Shedeur's really the pick at 3? Then obviously the answer is no, Jackson Dart does not go ahead of Shedeur. But if Jackson Dart goes in the teens and Shedeur doesn't go until the 20s, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, at this point, if I were to make a guess today, which literally could change in 1 hour, because I feel like with this situation, it's just been so like every 5 minutes you're hearing a different report saying something different, so it changes so drastically. But if I were to at this minute, I think Shedeur Sanders goes in the top 10, and I would guess Jackson Dart goes by 18, 19.
Okay.
But what if the Saints love Jackson Dart, and what if everyone else is hedging their bets that Shedeur Sanders will be there a little later? So then Jackson Dart goes 9, and then Shedeur goes a little bit after that. Like that also wouldn't
that's why I
surprise me.
could see a world. I just don't. It's hard for me to. And I know how much Shedeur started to slide, but I've also heard too many people say there's too many good things there to miss out on. And there's people who have still Shedeur, that they like Shedeur more than Cam Ward. Like, that's obviously not happening in the Titans world, but other worlds I've heard chatter that they still have him ranked higher in a lot of areas than Cam Ward. So to me, it'd be really hard for me not to think that, especially if he starts getting, like if he gets past 3, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody figured something out to get up in that top 10 to make sure they get Shedeur just in case the Saints want him. And then the Saints take Dart, or, just Dart goes a little farther. But I don't know. I wouldn't be able to pinpoint when. My guess right now would be top 10 for Shedeur and Jackson Dart, not too far after that.
Well, if you've listened to this show, you'd be surprised that there are sports other than football and basketball going on. RJ, take it away.
We'll start with the Orlando Magic as they punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference playoffs for the second year in a row, leaving her Atlanta Hawks fan in shambles and Trae Young crashing out.
12-point Magic lead. Banchero, another and one. He loves this right-to-left spin. Probably his signature move.
Oh, Young goes between Carter's legs and scores it. Wendell Carter knows he's going to be in a highlight, and that's a tee. And now a second technical, and Trae Young snatches the ball from Pat Frere. That's going to cost him some money there. He ball faked him, shot faked him, and Young's been ejected.
James Wood sends one into orbit for the Nationals, tallying 445 feet and recording his 6th home run of the season.
Oh, and Wood, a high drive to deep right center. See you later. It wouldn't bounce into the river, would it? Number 6 for James, and hello, game 2 here in the Berg.
We'll transition to the W as number 1 pick Paige Beckers is excited to be headed to Dallas.
Yeah, you don't want to take anything for granted, think anything's guaranteed. But again, you just want to be in the moment, be where your feet are. So to finally be up on that stage, have that moment is surreal in a sense that I don't know when it'll sink in. Maybe when I get to Dallas, and that's the reality, and that's my new home. So there'll probably be a lot of celebrating tonight, so I'm not even sure I'll be coherent enough to really reflect on it, but I'm excited. I like that.
We'll close things out on the ice as Austin Matthews scores his 400th goal of his NHL career.
Mitch Marner looking for Matthews for 400. That's broken up. Now Matthews back with it. Winds in. Matthews shoots. Scores! Austin Matthews, 400 career goals. A milestone night for the Leafs.
Good stuff, RJ. I feel like no one's been paying attention to hockey since Ovechkin tied and then surpassed Gretzky. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're getting close to the NHL playoffs, so that is obviously something that hockey fans are paying a little bit more attention. I was watching the game last night because Connor Bedard scored 2 goals, and the Blackhawks aren't winning, so nobody's talking about Bedard, but he's phenomenal. Like, it's still, I think people kind of forgot because the Blackhawks as a team, as a whole, haven't been playing that well. But he's just so good, and it makes me excited for the next couple years. But it is hard, like, when there's so much happening, like we're getting out of March Madness. The draft is coming up. The WNBA draft just happened. We're talking about the NFL draft coming up. NHL, the NBA play-ins happen. There's so much that I do think it overshadows hockey a little bit. I saw somebody, it was like the top 10 most popular sporting events in the United States, and it was like ranked from obviously the most popular to least popular, and it was interesting because the NFL draft was 8 on this list, and I was like, that's not even a sporting event. Like, that is like the NFL draft was.
There's
on
no
this top
winners
10.
or losers. Well,
yeah,
actually there are, but you know what I mean.
Honestly, COVID was like the best thing that could have happened to the National Football League. I know that's a weird thing to say, but when you think about some of the more efficient ways that they've been able to deliver content, not to mention this opportunity that they seized to control a 365-day news cycle, the idea of they were the one league, the one machine, because they were not playing games in March of 2020, that they were able to capitalize and capture the imagination of the American audience. This idea of so many cameras live in draft prospects' living rooms and bedroom, like that.
People just love that access.
I didn't mean to say bedroom. I meant to say dining room. That came out better. bedroom. My bad. Listen, listen.
You never know. There were some weird videos.
Right. Mike Vrabel, what exactly were we doing there?
Belichick's dog was at the table and Belichick
dining
was
room. Yes,
dining
exactly.
room, yes.
But point being, yes, and that's so the point is that it's a credit to the NFL that they've made it a spectacle. But speaking of hockey, we do want to give our friends at the Jacksonville Icemen a shout out. They will begin their Kelly Cup playoff quest this weekend in Estero, Florida, against those hated Everblades. Yes, sign guy Mike. We saw your text yesterday. Everyone hates the Everblades, the perennial powerhouse in the ECHL. They'll play 2 games down in Estero, and then they come back to VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. It's a best-of-5 series, and so hopefully the Icemen, come back with a nice 2-0 win, and it's only 1 game on Wednesday, and then they'd advance to the next round. But if needed, it would be April 23rd, the 24th, and 27th at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena.
I also think I will be there Wednesday.
Yes, love it. I also think COVID helped golf, because that was the only sport that was kind of able to play there right at the beginning. They just didn't have spectators. They did obviously all the testing, tracing, all those things. And I do feel like some people who probably had never watched golf before found themselves just missing sports so much.
Yeah.
And so then, certainly golf, I think, became at the forefront.
And you could play it too. And also
people did start.
The golf courses started to have absolutely no any availability whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
And as love him or hate him, I will give Bryson and the YouTube golf audience this, that was a massive role in the growth of the sport was back, him filming himself golfing and go on down the line of whether it's, the boys with, no laying up or Gabby Golfer Girl or any of those influencers we met during Players Championship Week this year. That was a massive role too. And it was only seized because, hey, what else is going on? Oh, here, come watch me golf on YouTube.
I somehow got on Bryson TikTok recently, and it's very interesting.
I'm good on that. But speaking of influencers, let's say hello to Leon.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Leon, if the Jaguars don't take an offensive lineman in the first 4 rounds, you will be fill in the blank.
Like kicking the door.
Kicking the door.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, the first 2...
6 picks and no offensive lineman, I would be losing my mind.
I think if I'm kicking the door, I'm going to stay at home, though.
You're not going to be at Lemon Bar watching the draft. Well, that's just the first round.
Just the Kool-Aid man busted.
Exactly. That's me. That'll be me for sure.
The one bit of good news on the offensive line front, and again, I don't want to speculate when he will or won't be available.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Hodges in the hunt, actually walking around in the video, walking around the facility. Look, I know I'm talking about him walking. I'm not talking about him running or cutting. But after a second ugly knee injury that prematurely ended his season, for me, I was expecting, hey, he's probably a pup guy for the year. And the fact that he's walking around, that's encouraging for me.
That alone should be celebrated. I mean, the fact that he's walking around because he had 2 devastating injuries. Especially young in his career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hasn't even got his career started to have that affect him. So, I mean, listen, if the kid can make, I don't know, what is it, the practice squad or something like that, I mean, just giving them the opportunity to want, because I know when you're that young and something like that happen, it can be discouraging. So I think just probably getting back on the field will be refreshing for him to get away from, because he's been rehabbing and treating for the last 2 years, and that's got to be frustrating, especially when you're young and you want to play ball.
Point being, though, if you've got him, if you believe maybe in some of these other younger guys, if you like Cole Van Lanen, you brought in 2 additional swing tackles, that becomes a very crowded room very fast.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking? I know we assessed if we don't pick an offensive lineman in the first couple of picks. I think that their direction in free agency said a lot to where, as far as offensive line go. I think that we might get one. I think the defensive line front will probably be attended to more than likely.
Yeah, I think so as well. What's coming up in the Sweet 16?
Well, today in the Sweet 16, yesterday was just mind-blowing. Miami miraculously got over Georgia by a 2-point conversion. A lot of Georgia fans hit me up afterwards at the little watering hole that they were not happy about the outcome of it. But today is 0-2 USC versus 2024 Ohio State.
Oh, all right.
Very interesting.
All right. Thanks, Leon. We'll be listening.
You got it.
All right, there he goes. XL Primetime comes up next. And, of course, that mythical Sweet 16 battle comes up as well. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Primetime is next.
Gonna walk all over you. Yeah. You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. And you keep losing when you
Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
They're going to sack him again. Josh Allen got him again. Back at the 42-yard line. And the career sack leader for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Josh Allen.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Mia here. Summer is just around the corner. Is your air conditioning unit ready to handle the heat? There is one way to find out, and it doesn't cost you a penny. My friends at Duck Duck Air Conditioning are hooking up all of our 1010XL listeners with a free inspection. Give them a call to schedule now. 904-862-6769. And if you need any repairs, they'll provide a free estimate to ensure your system is ready for that Florida heat. Call Duck Duck Air Conditioning at 904-862-6769 and be sure to tell them you want the free AC inspection you heard about on 1010XL.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next